Hey, this is Christy Renea here from Christy Renea Healing Ministries. My PMA is now complete, so I'm I'm pretty stoked and excited about that. And you'll get more information on that soon. I'll talk some more about that later. What I want to do right now is we're going to use the ladder of awareness in a heart coherent state with an issue. So we've done a few different emotions. We did anger, we did sadness. You can use that with any emotion you want, right? And remember, if you do it with a positive emotion, if you have something positive come up and you run it through the ladder, you're amplifying it, right? So you're going to create more of it. The negative stuff, it tends to obliterate, and obliterate, that's a good word. And the positive stuff, it tends to amplify, so it makes it better. And what we're doing today is an issue. So literally how you would do this. Now, if you wanted to get into a coherent state first, you would do your 3 breaths, inhaling and exhaling, let that move in and out of you, and then drop your awareness into your heart, come into a state of gratitude or peace or caring, something that you can feel inside your heart, and then let that grow a little bit and sit in that for about 3 minutes. And then once you're there, take the feeling, right? I'm going to use the idea of peace. I'm getting into a coherent state. I'm going to move peace to my brain, make sure I feel it there. I'm going to move peace to my gut, make sure I feel it there. And then I'm going to cyclically breathe, right? So you're just kind of breathing through your system to move that feeling up and down through the whole system. What you have been taught, remember we talked about this, is that your brain is one thing and it serves a purpose and it does its thing, and your heart is something else and it does something else, and your gut is something else and it does something else. And that's simply not true. These are all pieces of a whole unit, and if you get them all coordinated and all feeling the same way, right? So which means they're expressing the same neurochemicals, same hormones, or in the same idea of a coherent state. Some of them can't produce the same hormones, but if you're producing the same chemical compilation and every place is feeling it, you're in a really good place. That's a coherent state. So once you're there, I'm going to let you do that on your own. That was the first video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to video number 1 of basic heart coherence and go there first. If you don't know the ladder of awareness, go back to, I think, video number 3 or 4 and look for the ladder of awareness and go back through that, because that's what we're doing now. So inhaling and exhaling and just talking about it. As you do this, let me tell you this, as you do this more and more and more, you will notice that you can do it faster, right? I don't have to go through all these little steps. It's just like I have to put myself in my heart, my awareness in my heart, and breathe while I'm there and let it open up, right? Be in gratitude, be in peace. We got clouds moving in and out, so I'm losing my light. Kind of fast, actually. Very strange. You can get coherent super quickly. So turn this video off if you're not there yet. Get yourself coherent and then come back when you're ready. Okay, now that you're coherent, what I want you to do is think of an issue that you want to work on. Think of something that is going on in your life that's just a constant thing. It could be a repetitive pattern. It could be something that just comes up once in a while that you're just like, oh, there it is again, and I'm tired of dealing with it. It could be an ongoing issue that's just like this ongoing drama or trauma or whatever it is. It's going on all the time. It could be something from your past that represents itself. So the ongoing pattern idea. So think of something that you want to work on that's an issue. It's an issue for you. And as you're thinking about it, I want you to grab your bucket, close your eyes, keep breathing, and start putting every thought that shows up into the bucket. Remember, in this part of it, you're in your brain. So we're starting in the brain. Don't fall into it. Don't fall into the issue. Be the curious observer. Stand back and notice, right? And just picking up all these thoughts and sticking them in the bucket. And keep doing that until you've got everything in the bucket. Once everything's in the bucket, you're going to do the same thing we did last time. The ladder goes from the middle of your brain down to the center of your heart. You're going to take your bucket, go down the ladder. Once you get into the center of your heart, you're going to take your bucket and dump it out into your heart. And I always like to remind people, don't be afraid of dumping it out. Your heart is a transducer. It will change the form of energy, whatever you've taken from your brain and the energy that's there to it. Your heart will transduce it into a form of emotion from your spirit. The center of your heart is where your spirit lives. The center of your heart is your spirit, right? So however you look at it. So this is the essence of you. This is the higher self. This is, right, the God self, whatever you want to call that, whatever you do call that, right? So for me, I just call it my spirit. Then notice, be in your heart space and notice. If you need to put a hand over your heart, put a hand over your heart. Remember, your heart is in the center of your chest. It's not off to the side. It is in the center of your chest. And then notice what your heart does as you put this information into your heart space. Now, if you need to sit a little bit longer, sit a little bit longer, turn the video off and come back when you're ready. What you're looking for is a change, a feeling, right? Your heart is feeling. So from the brain and thoughts, we're in the heart and feeling. When you poured that in there, you noticed one thing. Eventually, you're going to notice something else. That's what we want, and we want it in a feeling form. So when you're ready, come back, turn the video back on. So now that your heart has had this information for a few, and it's gone through its work, right? It's transduced the information. What are you feeling? What does it feel like? Some people tell me it feels like a flushing, swishing sensation, and then it's just calm. Some people immediately are just like awestrucken because it's so fast, right? You have to let go of the bucket. That is the key to it. Let go of the bucket, right? So I'm going to call this a sense of peace. I'm feeling peace. Now I'm going to take peace because I have peace to the issue from my heart, put peace in the bucket. So now I'm putting some peace in the bucket. I'm going to get back on the ladder and I'm going to go from my heart to my gut. So I'm shifting the ladder from the center of the heart to my gut, about 2 inches behind my belly button, right? So the chi point, the dantian, there's a few different names for this area. It's a power center, right? So shift the ladder, take the bucket of peace down to your gut. We're still working to the same issue, but now it's at a level of peace from our heart. Take that peace and dump it in your gut. Only two things can occur. Your gut will either kick it back out, kick the information out and say, nope, it'll reject it, right? So you'll feel fight and flight. You don't necessarily go into it. Be the curious observer. Don't allow yourself to go into the fight and flight. And just curiously watch. Or it will give you a deeper sense of peace because it receives the information. So it can go either direction. You're just noticing. Now, if you got more peace, just stay there for a minute. Breathe it through your system. Bring your breath up and around from your heart to your gut. And just keep circulating that peace. See if you can make it bigger. If you got the sense of fight and flight, that sinking feeling, a heavy feeling, take that, put it back in the bucket, bring it back to your heart, do it again. Put it in your heart, let your heart transduce it. Because now what we're working with is the information of your gut to the issue, not the information of your brain to the issue. That was already transformed. Now we're working on the information to the gut. This is where people miss a lot of opportunity because they work on their head all the time. But if you don't do the gut part of it too, because your gut gets a lot of information, right? And those cells store information too. So once your heart transduces it, then you're taking that information back to your gut. So now just notice what it feels like. Sometimes people will say it moved into joy. Sometimes people will say it's just another feeling of peace, or maybe it's a different level of calmness. Whatever that feels like for you, put it in the bucket. When you're ready, take it back to your gut, dump it back out in the gut. Take a deep breath and then notice, what is your gut doing? Does it come to a state of peace? Did it come to a state of calmness or joy? You're just noticing and paying attention. If it gave you more fight and flight, if it gave you a heavy sinking feeling again, don't get frustrated. Just be aware, put it back in the bucket, bring it back up to your heart. You are going to continue to do this until your gut transforms. I have had people I've worked with where we did this 8 or 10 times, right? 8 or 10 times. Or, I mean, it could be even more, right? Who knows? But it's quick, so you can go up and back, right? Just make sure it transforms before you move, right? Make sure it transforms before you shift. So once you've got your shift, let's say my heart's at peace, my gut's at peace, I'm still working on the same bit of information, I'm still working on the same issue. Now that my gut's at peace, I'm going to extend the ladder from my gut all the way back to my brain, and I'm going to take some of that peace from my gut and bring it all the way back up to my brain, which, by the way, is how your system operates. The gut sends information to the brain, right? Something's happening. I'm walking down a long, dark alley and I feel something, and my gut sends the message, you know, you better be careful. Something's about to happen. Sends the information up to the brain and gives you a reason to kind of look around or to duck and cover or whatever you do. But we want it to be the same information to the issue that we're working on. Just like with the feelings that we were doing, we want the system to have the same information all the way up and down. So now from the gut, I'm taking this information of peace or calmness, I'm putting it in my brain, and then I'm just going to feel, I'm just going to notice. Now, some people will say, well, more thoughts came up to the issue, put them in the bucket and do it again. How steadfast do you want to be in this? How bad do you want to end the issue, right? Getting brain coherent to an issue is one thing. Being able to be coherent through the whole system is a total different ballgame, because the whole system has all the same information. I could give my brain one set of information through an affirmation or a whole brain state and my gut not get the message. So I'm still in a state of turmoil or a state of confusion, right? When the issue actually comes back up, I go back into a level of the issue. Does that make sense? Okay. Take a deep breath. Once you've got the whole system feeling the same, just breathe. Nice, gentle breaths in and out. Just keep breathing that around your system. And then see if you can feel your heart, your brain, and your gut open up at the same time to the same information. It feels the same all the way through the system. You have to be aware. You have to pay attention. You have to be present in this moment. Yeah? And just breathe. Hang out here as long as you want to. When you're ready to open your eyes, and the key to this is don't lose your feeling. Stay in this level of feeling. See if you can keep the system open in this feeling, and then go walk around and touch things. Go walk around and put your hands under the water. Go walk around and touch a plant, pet your dog, go hug your kid, right? Go say hi to your husband or your spouse or whatever. Go outside and touch a tree. Go ground yourself while you're feeling like this. While the system is totally coherent, go outside and ground yourself. In the snow, in the rain, in the dirt, I don't care. Get outside and ground yourself, right? So what we're doing is trying to create a new neural loop through the system, the whole system, that causes you to be able to come back here, right? We want to create a neural loop so the information is available whenever you want to come back and access this. The information to the old thing that I was having an issue with, you have to go test it. This is the litmus test, right? A lot of protocols don't give you a litmus test. I always tell you, go test it. Go test it so that it doesn't come back. And if it does come back, then you work on it again. Here's how you test it. I go to the issue if it's available, or I create a scenario where I can cause some of the issue. We always do this to ourselves anyway, but you're definitely doing it to yourself this time. Go find the issue. Before you go in, before you confront the issue, I want you to stop and get coherent. Come back to where we are right now. Get coherent. I'm just breathing, do my breaths, I open my heart, I take the feeling through the whole system. I want everything coherent. And then I walk into the room. And then I stand there. Now the key to this is keeping the system coherent. We want everything to stay in this level of feeling, whatever this feeling is. And peace is probably one of the better things to stay in when you're in a situation. And then be the curious observer. But don't observe this junk out here. Observe this. Observe here. Stay here and watch what happens. And be available. You're noticing, you're in the room, you're paying attention, right? Things start slinging your way and barbs and people yakking. I don't even know. Whatever your issue is, things start happening. And then all of a sudden, you're here. And it changes your perception, right? You're building more neuroplastic to it. All right. Let me tell you a quick story before my battery runs out. So we did this. I did this with a gal years ago. And her issue was an eating issue. She had a horrible eating disorder and she couldn't eat in front of people. But her friends would always go out and go eat. And she couldn't participate because she couldn't sit there and eat. She would literally get ill from it. From just watching, she would go off the rails. Very sad situation. And so this particular time when she called me, she goes, they're going out and they're going to go to this tapas bar and I just want to go. And it's like the little thing where it's all the small plates. So they order everything off the menu and coat the table with all the food and people just sit and pick and enjoy and eat. And she goes, I always end up backing against the wall and then I slink my way out because I can't do any of that. And so we did the work and got her into a place where she's like, yeah, I think I can do this. And I said, so your homework is to go to the restaurant. Set yourself up for success. Get coherent. Feel it. Know it. Be it, right? You have to be this level of coherence and then walk in. If you lose it, walk back out. Just excuse yourself, walk back out, get coherent again. This is about you, not about anything else. Not about them, not about the food. Who cares what anybody thinks? And you have to get to this place where you can do it. But this is going to be the thing that cures you. It's going to be the thing that changes everything. I walk back in. I lose my feeling. I walk back out and do it again. Do that as many times as you have to until you can walk in and keep some sense of this feeling. It won't always stay as high. It is a fluctuating feeling. But you want the whole system coherent to it. You walk in, she finally got to a place she could walk in and sit down, and there was food all over the table already. And she's just sitting there looking at it. And she goes, my first thought was, oh my gosh, look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. The color, she was like, was mind-blowing how beautiful it was. And then she's listening to people talk, and she was sitting with her hands on her heart so she wouldn't lose herself. So she's sitting there with her hands on her heart and she's trying to keep her feeling going, and she's staying in herself. She's staying local, right, to herself. And she all of a sudden saw this hand reach out and grab a piece of food off the plate, and it went right towards her mouth. And then she realized it was her hand. And she goes, I stuck it in my mouth. And she goes, I kind of just felt like I wanted to laugh, but at the same time I was petrified. And she goes, but my heart just opened. Because she'd been practicing this for a while. So her heart was just like, oh, gratitude, feed me. She put the thing in her mouth and she was like, you won't believe this. It's like, oh no, what? She goes, it had so much flavor. The taste, oh my gosh. She was like, and everything I ate had so much flavor. What was the difference? The difference was she was coherent. Her brain wasn't telling her one thing and her gut wasn't telling her something else. And her heart was staying open in gratitude at that point, right? But the whole system had the same bit of information. And she was in like a state of neutrality. She wasn't overly, right, high end, right, or down in her normal despair and agitation and anxiety kind of stuff. She was in a state of neutrality and she could sit there and eat. And she found out food had flavor and it changed her whole perception. Do you understand? Okay, I know you do. I know you understand. Okay, I love you. Thank you for being here. I think this is video number 5. This is an issue. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please throw them in the chat box below. Share this if it helped you. It's going to help somebody else. There's donation information below. And I just want to thank you for being here. The next couple videos I'm going to do is going to be explaining why I'm doing this and what else you can do with it, because there's definitely places you can take this that will expand your spirituality, for lack of a better word, your spiritual state, and then your ongoing movement towards whatever it is you're trying to do for yourself, because this all interplays with probably a little bit of everything else you've ever learned. It just brings your spirit to the front so that you're operating from a state of I am self and from a higher state of being, awareness and consciousness. I love you. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk again soon.